How we doing? Very good. Very good. Who's up?
Well, I know you spent a lot of time kind of self-scouting and looking at tape. What stood out to you when you went back and looked at most recently?
It's the same struggles we've had the last three games. Self-imposed problems. So the penalties, the turnovers are the keys. You know, when we're clean, you look at the second half. We had 5 drives. First drive, 94 yards. We're clean. Good balance run pass. No penalties, no sacks. It's going to be a good drive. So I'm stating the obvious, but right now the two things we have to work the most on is clean drives, discipline, no penalties, no negative yardage. Right now we're 29th or something like that in the NFL in offensive penalties. So that's just reality. It's not something you want to brag about and talk about, but that's what we have to clean up. And the last 2 days in practice have been very clean, no procedural penalties, so feel a lot better about that. And then obviously turning the football over at critical times, we got to take care of the ball.
What have you learned personally as some self-scouting just in how to counter what an NFL defense gives you?
Oh, I think it's the same things. You know, you have to – you got to battle making sure that you're not trying to do too much in the sense that you are not simplistic, but at the same time you're letting you guys attack and play ball. And so for us, I think that we got some guys that have seen a lot of NFL defenses. You know, you can challenge them a little bit, but you also have to have the opportunity to let those guys just line up and play. And the balance between those two things, between creating deception and things like that and forcing our guys to play slower is what we continue to find. You know, we're trying to chase that edge of what perfection is on that. But right now we just got to operate clean. We just got to be clean, stay ahead of the chains. When we do that, our third down has been very successful when we're not in XL. So we got to focus on those things and just execute at a higher level.
What are you seeing from Mike Jerrell as he's been working as a rookie and evolving over the season?
Yeah, Mike is shows a lot of flashes, being a really twitchy guy. Can be a factor in the run game as well as, you know, just being a guy that can stay sticky in pass protection. I think for Mike, it's just seeing all the looks, all the third down looks and things like that of the speed of the NFL and how fast the calls are happening in hostile environments. So I think as Mike continues to sort those things out and plays faster, I think he's going to be a really good player.
How did you feel about the run game when you were kind of able to get to it in favorable situations?
Yeah, no, I was bummed we didn't more obviously in the second half. You know, we felt like going into the football game, the Niners were I think 30th or something like that in the league in second half run defense. So we knew there was going to be a bit of a softening process to get to that. And on that first drive was very optimistic about what we were going to be able to do. And they're, you know, first half they're top 5 in the league against the run, so they're good at that. But we knew depth was an issue, and we thought we could wear them down a little bit. So we felt good going into it. In the second half, felt good. Knew we were going to just be able to clean up a couple of the fits. We just obviously, you know, didn't get that done.
Ryan, what are the keys of starting fast, besides obviously what the opponent is doing? Internally, what are those keys?
I mean, I hate to be repetitive, but the fact of the matter is you just got to stay ahead of the sticks early on. Manageable down and distance and keep yourself on the field. Again, I know those are really, really obvious statements, but that's the reality. Once you get behind the sticks, you start having to throw more and things like that. That's what you can't have. You get predictable, and all of a sudden you're putting your offensive line, your quarterback in a tough spot where people are ripping up the field. So I think we're really good at throwing the ball. I just don't want to be predictable in that, and we got to keep focusing on that because we are. I mean, we're a talented team as far as throwing the football, but we got to be way, way better in the run game to create that, and I think those things will happen. I think the play action pass, run game, all those things can come to life if we learn how to be more disciplined and stay ahead of the sticks. And I think our guys have had great ownership in that, our coaching staff included, making sure that we get the right scheme and our guys in the right spots.
Your play action rate being so low as it is it just that, or is it maybe more to it?
No, I think that's a huge part. Is, you know, obviously you got to call the runs. I mean, I'm in charge of that, so you got to call the runs, get the run game to come to life to get the respect you need in the play action pass. So I think there's ownership all the way around. Myself especially is you know, you got to get those things called and protect Geno so he can get the ball down the field and not do it in predictable positions.
So the term ownership all around. Do you like that both quarterback and DK Metcalf are trying to take the blame?
Oh, yeah, those guys. I mean, I know everybody loves the Twitter picture of me and DK having a conversation on the headset. Those guys are awesome, though. they're awesome. That's what they're like. That's who they are. That's how they're wired. They're not going to duck those punches. They know what happened, and that's the kind of ownership those guys have. I'm not surprised at all. Both those guys reached out the day after the game, and I mean, the fact of the matter was DK was just pissed because I beat him in a wrestling match the day before. So, I mean, it is what it is. But no, I'm just kidding. But that's what they are. Those guys will own it. They want to get better. They want to be elite, and that's how you get better. Is you own it, you move on, you try to fix the mistakes.
How do you handle that in the moment when a player?
You got to get them to point B. Just the coaches are the same. People get motivated, excited. It's a passionate game, and it's full of guys that are very passionate about their jobs, and as DK said, very competitive. So the last thing you want to do is squash the competitive spirit. So as long as you can get them from point A to point B and move through the moment and get them back to room temperature, you're fine. I mean, it's not the first time anybody's lost their temper, so myself included. So it was honestly not a big thing at all. It was boom, next play, move on.
Do you have like a go-between on the coaching staff who talks to the players or talks to Gino in between series? Or do you talk
I talk to Gino every series. Yep, Gino. After he reconvenes on the sideline with the guys, he'll come over, put the headset on. We'll go through each series, the coverages we're seeing, things like that, and what he saw on the plays. Make sure we're same page. Talk about possibilities for the next drive, and then move on. So talk to him every series, and then anybody else that we need to get on the headset, and then obviously each position coach has their headset and they're listening, and we're talking, hey, make sure you talk to this guy about X, Y, and Z. So, yeah, that's constant communication.
Sometimes for the fan, the kind of casual observer, to maybe miss how fine the line is when they're making those adjustments. I think like the Miami game, DK Gino see something, they make adjustments, 71-yard touchdown. Against 49ers, they're not on the same page. Is that line pretty fine sometimes?
It's very fine, and I think again that's what we encourage our guys to be aggressive, and play with confidence. And I think you see that, and you can't take one play into the next. That's the only risk you have is if you're wrong or the read is wrong, you can't carry it into the next play. Don't make one play into 5 bad ones. But I think overall the guys do a really good job of that.
How challenging has the situation been at right tackle with all the injuries you guys have faced there?
It's been challenging. Obviously, we'd love Abe to be back and be healthy. I'm extremely proud of Stone and how he's played and how much he's battled and the production that we got out of him when he was in there. And he's battling to be back here soon. And so I don't know that we're unique to any team in the NFL. I think everybody's battling injuries at different spots, so I don't think that that's something to dwell on.
The Falcons limit explosives quite a bit. They play a lot of zone, second or third most in the league. You guys played a lot of man teams.
Yeah.
What is that going to demand of you guys differently in this game than some of the other opponents you've had?
Well, I think discipline, it's going to be harder to get those big shots, and when we get the right looks and things like that, we got to make it count and use that against them. So you got to weaponize it a little bit too and show that you can be disciplined and make the plays you need to make when you can. So, when the man looks show up, you got to make them pay, and when the zone looks are there, we just got to be able to be disciplined and make the right throws and decisions.
DK told us when he was talking to you on the headset, he said he wanted you guys to run by defenders.
Yeah.
Were you guys on the same? Did you agree with his assessment of how you?
Yeah, no, I mean he's pretty good at running by people, so I don't disagree with it at all. I think you're always trying to find the balance between having the time in the pocket, ball coming out of Gino's hands, and then getting those shots down the field. So I think a bigger part of that is the confidence that DK has in himself, that he can do that at any point in a football game, no matter who's on him. So you got to love that, and we certainly respect that and have that built into every plan.
The penalty on Ken for an illegal shift, what's the coaching point there?
Yeah, so anytime we have movement, obviously we want to make sure everybody's on the same page. If we have 2 guys moving, we had an opportunity there for multiple people to try to get us set and just hold. Everybody just stop if there's a multiple people moving. And so the good part of that, what can come out of that, the opportunity is that we had time on Monday since we had a little extra time. We actually built a session in to talk through that. We obviously move a lot, so there's a communication element that has to happen when you start moving people. And, okay, let's move 2 people at the same time, so we have to communicate what it looks like if that's happening. Just stop, make sure everybody's set, and then execute the play. So there were some good reminders that happened from that play, obviously.
Do both guys have to be set in that case, or just
So what in that particular case, what you'd want is everybody to be set, then motion the running back, and he can stay on the move. If it was a single move, then you'd motion one guy. So those all have different terminologies on if a guy has to be set or if a guy can continue to move. So if a player hears a motion that would indicate that motion player is going to stay on the move, everybody's got to be set prior to that. So it was good. It was a good reminder. We hadn't went over something like that since camp, so it sucked that it came up. But I think all we can do is continue to correct those things and move on.
You played a couple teams in Detroit and San Francisco that are really clear in their identity, physical nature that they like to play with. How close are you guys to figuring out your offensive identity, and what do you want that identity to be?
Well, we'd obviously like to be way closer to 50-50, and I think for this team, with the type of runners we have and things like that, we do want a physical style play. And we want a style that, we've been emphasizing that quite a bit over the last couple of weeks of what it should look like when we're finishing football plays, and that's something that me and Mike are very much linked in a mindset. And one of the things that when we were going through this process of getting together that, is something that I desire, is that the offense has more of a physical mentality, a finish mentality, that when you put the film on, people are like, man, that's going to be a long night. And we're just not there yet, honestly. And I know the guys are committed to trying to get through that process and do what's supposed to be done.
Looking forward to saying hi to mechanics.
No. No, I'm kidding. No, it'd be great to see Mike. It's been a long time, and he's a great dude, incredible family. Mike Sr. and Takesha are good people, so yeah, it'd be awesome to see him.
Anybody else?
All
Thanks,
good?
Coach.
Thank you.